In the 19th District State Senate race are fighting over alternative energy. Campaign ads for Democrats Tony Strickland promote him as an alternative energy executive. But Hannah-Beth Jackson supporters and environmental groups claim that ad is misleading. Members of the local chapter of the Sierra Club say in his last 2 years in the Assembly, Strickland voted no on every one of the 21 bills considered for a priority for his club.
And we're here this morning because of our concern with ads that Mr. Strickland has been running, who is promoting himself as an energy advocate. I have a letter which I've distributed from Bill McGavern. Bill is the director of Sierra Club, California. And during Mr. Strickland's term in the State Assembly, Bill was our senior legislative representative. So he knows Mr. Strickland's voting record firsthand. And I'd like to read some of what Bill had to say. He said, "Let's set the record straight. In 2002, I was working as Sierra Club California's senior legislative representative when Strickland voted against establishing a statewide renewable energy standard that required utilities to increase their generation of clean power by just 1% a year. Time after time, Mr. Strickland voted against bills that would have put California on track toward a clean energy future. In 2000, he voted against a green building bill that would have put California on an early track to increase energy efficiency and address global warming. Shockingly, he also voted against a bill that would have extended energy efficiency benefits to low-income Californians. In contrast, Hannah-Beth Jackson took home perfect scores in our tallies, and those tallies are 21 pieces of legislation. Hannah-Beth Jackson voted 100% for renewable energy. Tony Strickland, during these same legislative bills, voted 0. It's important for voters to know the truth. Look at the voting record and you will see Tony Strickland is not what he appears to be. Thank you.
Strickland is advertising himself as, quote, alternative energy executive. He says this because he is limitedly involved with a business called Green Wave. The company has filed application with the Federal Energy Commission to develop 2 projects off the California coast. However, he voted against Senate Bill 1078, which Hannah-Beth co-authored in 2002, which designated that investor-owned utilities obtain at least 20% of their power from renewable energy sources. That bill did pass, but Strickland didn't vote for it. He voted against it, and this is what he said the reason was. Quote, when there is a demand for something, the private sector will meet it. I don't believe the government should come in and mandate. Hannah-Beth, with her 100% voting record on environmental bills, will help to protect us and our environment.
Our goal is to bring coastal protection to the forefront of electoral politics, and of course it's very key for us that Strickland not get elected to the state Senate. Personally, I find it absolutely extraordinary and really appalling that Tony Strickland would have the nerve to position himself in this Senate race as an environmentalist and one who cares about our coast. His grade on protecting the environment is an F. In 2002 and 2003, and these are just 2 of the years he was there, he voted against tracking oil transport deliveries, even though tanker accidents can result in devastating and unnecessary spills. And he voted against requiring oil companies to bring any oil from new drilling leases ashore via pipeline, even though it's demonstrably safer to do so. He voted against preserving the public's right, that's your right, to access the beach and the coast. He voted against pursuing violators who illegally develop property in the coastal zone. He voted against regulating and penalizing ocean-going vessels that illegally dump ballast water and sewage into the ocean. He voted against prohibiting the release of gray and hazardous waste into our state and national marine sanctuaries. These are common sense issues that protect our oceans and our ability to enjoy them. Time and time again, when Strickland had the chance, he repeatedly voted not to protect our environment and our coast. And as my mother always told me, tigers don't change their stripes. Strickland will vote against the environment again if given a second chance to serve in the state legislature. Strickland represents yesterday's misguided and damaging way of doing business. Hannah-Beth Jackson has a proven record of standing up to special interests, and she was a candidate that we can trust to do the right thing when it comes to our air quality, our water quality, our coast, and our environment. Thank you.
Have any questions?
Well, I'm looking at it from an international point of view, and the thing that that would be most interesting, I think, for my audience would be how is the balance, the political balance from a state perspective, affected by this race?
Would any of you like to answer that? Susan?
I know it's a little off target, but
It's a little off target. Well, the balance. I mean, I think we have a strong representation in the state Senate. We do have issues where this seat is extremely important, and it translated into the budget vote. Would you agree with that? So Hannah-Beth getting elected would give the Democrats in the state Senate the ability to get past the gridlock and pass a budget in a timely way. And, you know, we're talking about the Senate district now. I mean, people in Santa Barbara, you know, some people know, but there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what his record is. And so that's why we formed this quote-unquote truth squad, is because we feel it's incumbent upon us as individuals and organizations to get the word out. Hannah-Beth shouldn't have to do that just on her own. I mean, the people who know his record should be talking about it.
So who don't seem to be taking the ad on its face value, where someone just says, these renewable energies are a great idea and California needs them. And by the way, I'm Tony Strickland and you may not know who I am anyway.
Right, it's the bait and switch, that's why.
You're saying it's
bait and switch. If you look at the man's voting record, which tells you how he thinks and how he feels, that's reality. As opposed to a 30-second spot that's trying to appeal to what most people in this community care about. And that's renewable energy and being progressive in how we solve our problems. So he's saying the right words, but his acts tell us something completely different. And if you ignore his voting record, I think you're making a very serious mistake. I hope the public is not duped.
And his ad never even says, I'm Tony Strickland and I've done anything about these. It says, California's got these problems.
Right.
Well, part of the reason we have these problems is his voting record.
That's right.
Elect me and I'll show you how bad it can be. Right.
Helen?
How would the environmental groups from Santa Barbara speak to the constituency in Ventura County? For instance, Thousand Oaks, Camarillo, Simi Valley, where we have a lot of good, moderate Republicans who are looking at Hannah-Beth Jackson as a candidate. How would you convince those people to vote for
I'll take
her?
that one. You know, I think this just comes down to basic good constituent service. Hannah-Beth, when she was in the legislature, she took a lot of bills straight from the public in Ventura County. And I'll give you two good examples. One was the pesticide drift bill, where the parents of Mound School came to Hannah-Beth because pesticides from the adjacent parcel had gotten the kids sick, and Hannah-Beth authored a bill that would ban pesticide spraying in places adjacent to schools during school hours. And I thought that was a really good example, and it was also one in which she convinced the agricultural community to largely come on board.
On those 21 bills, Hannah-Beth Jackson had a 100% voting record. She voted 21 out of 21. Tony Strickland, on the other hand, had a 0 voting record. He voted for none of them.
The public is not familiar with his actual voting record in Sacramento while he was an assembly member. And all they see are these ads. And he sounds like a progressive on energy issues, and they are being misled.
I've invested my own money into doing what we can to get green technology involved here in California. I've been very active in terms of wave energy and